The anti-whaling group Sea Shepherd says a Japanese ship has ignored a request to leave Australia's economic exclusion zone in the Southern Ocean. The Shonan Maru No. 2 is in the area for Japan's annual whale hunt. Well, for more, we're now joined on the line by the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society from Paul Watson, and he's currently on board the Steve Irwin around 800 miles south of Tasmania. Paul Watson, thanks very much for joining us. You say that the Shonan Maru 2 has ignored a request to leave. Where is it now?
We don't know where the Shonan Maru No. 2 is right now, but it did come about 187 miles into the economic zone. It didn't enter the 12-mile zone after the government warned them not to.
And so have you had any more run-ins since the dramatic one you had yesterday when we saw that it was tailing you quite closely?
No, right now we're pursuing the Japanese whaling fleet. They haven't killed any whales yet. They're still heading away, and they were supposed to whale in the Ross Sea. Now they're deeply in the Antarctic Australian territory, but as long as they're running, they're not killing whales.
So how tense is the situation going to be this year?
Well, I'm hoping it's not going to be tense. I mean, if we can just keep them running, that'll be successful. But we did call this Operation Zero Tolerance, and our objective is to make sure they don't kill any whales at all. And so far, we're on target. I mean, January was the first January in the history of whaling that a whale hasn't died in the Southern Ocean. So we're quite happy with that.
Because the Japanese government has actually requested to Australia that they take some action against you, because they're saying what they're doing is legal in international waters and you're pursuing them.
Well, the Australian government knows that what they're doing is illegal. That's why Australia is taking Japan to court. And they're in contempt of the Australian federal court since 2008. Their vessels are not allowed in Australian waters, and they're just blatantly killing whales in the Australian Antarctic territory. Japan claims a lot of things, but it isn't fooling the world. This so-called scientific whaling is really commercial whaling. They know it. Everybody knows it.
Are you happy with the response of the Australian government when the Shonan Maru No. 2 entered the economic exclusion zone, and that they requested to the Japanese government that it leave? And there were some strong words there. Was that enough of a response from the Australian government?
Well, I think it was a good response, considering that the Japanese fleet is in contempt of the Australian federal court, and Australia had every right to exercise the demand that they leave Australian waters. And Australia is taking Japan to the international court this year. We hope that that will be a positive result for the whales. You know, Australia could do more, but the fact is that there's no other nation on the planet that's doing as much to help conserve whales as Australia. So we certainly can't complain about that.
So what sort of action will you be taking over the coming days and indeed the coming weeks in the area where you are now?
Our objective is to make sure they don't kill any whales. We'll keep them on the run. If they try to whale, then we'll blockade their operations. And it's proven very successful in the past. They only took 26% of their quota last year, 17% the year before. They've lost tens of millions of dollars, and we're going to make sure that this is another year of profit loss for them.
And there's been some pretty nasty encounters in the past. Are you concerned about safety and about just how tense things could get this year?
Well, we're always concerned about safety, so much so. And in the 9 years that we've been down here, we've never caused a single injury. We've never sustained any injuries. And in fact, in our entire 35-year history, we've never caused a single injury. Keep in mind, however, Japan should be concerned about safety. They've had 3 fatalities, 2 catastrophic fires, and oil spills. And so, you know, they keep saying how concerned they are about safety, but we're certainly not their problem. The problem is their own inefficiency and lack of safety regulations.
Could you give us an idea of just how close you are to some of these Japanese vessels and what they're actually doing, and whether you know where they're expected to head?
The Bridget Bardot is with the Shonan Maru No. 3, keeping it away from the whaling fleet. The Shonan Maru No. 1 is chasing the Steve Irwin. The Sam Simon and the Bob Barker are in pursuit of the Nishan Maru, the factory ship, and the one other harpoon vessel. And so far, they're still running, and as long as they're running, they're not killing whales.
How many whales do you think that you've saved over the past 8 seasons or so?
well over 4,000. That's how many have not been killed from the quotas that they've taken. And more importantly, the endangered fin and humpback whales, they've taken very, very few of them. And but we're really down here to protect the integrity of the Southern Ocean Whale Sanctuary. I mean, what's the point of calling it a whale sanctuary if people can kill whales in it? And it was established under international law, and we're simply upholding those international laws protecting this sanctuary.
Paul Watson from the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, thank you very much for joining us via webcam.
Thank you.